Livestock business is a gamble every day. We are so reliant on what Mother Nature brings us. This year we're faced with an extreme drought. We've all had to make changes in our management because we have no water.
What we've had in the past for many permits has been a very structured, regimented system where, on March 1st, you're going to turn this many cows out into this pasture, and then on April 1st, you're going to move your cows to this next pasture. And that doesn't provide for the adaptation to annual changes of water availability or a fire that's come through. So in the outcome-based grazing program, we realized that in a world that is as dynamic as this one is, we certainly need grazing permits that can accommodate that.
My name is Eleanor Fitzgerald. I am a cattle rancher. Plusha, Oregon is special because it's my home. Because my grandfather started our business. And now I have the opportunity to work with my sons and my cousins. Family. That's what's so special. Lake County is predominantly government-owned. The BLM is a large stakeholder, and we need several thousand acres to be able to turn grass into beef, and the public lands is a huge contributor to that.
We have 10-year grazing permits on the BLM lands throughout America. There's over 18,000 permits nationally. And, we have to look at the ecological systems, and then we have to do our NEPA analysis, and then we have to issue our decisions for every permit renewal. And the backlog on that has prohibited us from being able to accommodate some of the reasonable changes along the way, because if you have a very regimented permit, then if you want to turn out 1 month later and then stay a month later and the vegetation is perfect for that, we still would have to go through NEPA and a decision process to allow that small change in your permit. So outcome-based grazing is an initiative that was started a few years back to create a flexible grazing permit. Nationally, there's 10 different projects throughout the West, and the Fitzgerald project is the first one that had a fully processed outcome-based grazing permit, and they've been able to put those flexibilities into practice.
Fitzgerald Ranch has a large permit that encompasses over 196,000 acres. The outcome-based grazing program that we're a part of has benefited us with allowing more flexibility in our permits and how they are managed, and most importantly, in communicating with the BLM.
The first thing that we did was allow more flexibility, as we mentioned, expanding the dates, changing the grazing seasons, making them longer and wider so we can move around more. But it also, we sat down with the permittees and figured out what are the issues, and one of them was a riparian issue where we had a hard time keeping the cattle off of the riparian in the summer. So the solution was, well, we need to develop water sources. So this program allowed us to get funding to do that.
So with the outcome-based grazing, we've been able to put in several infrastructures, such as a well and pipeline We've been able to extend a pipeline to another pasture, and we've put in numerous cattle guards throughout the allotments. And the most recent is the fence to divide pastures. The flexibility of outcome-based grazing is huge because you just never know. We're so dependent on Mother Nature, and we have to make our decisions based off of what the year brings.
I like to think of the outcome-based grazing program as sort of a choose-your-own-adventure in the rangeland permitting world. And so we have a variety of things that might happen in a given year, and then we define, if we see these different conditions, then what's the variety of responses that we might be able to take. And with that, all of those situations and potential responses are tied to both short and long-term monitoring.
Well, we all benefit from this land, and as producers, we try to keep the land healthy for our livestock as well as everyone else that enjoys it.
I think that outcome-based grazing is absolutely a game changer for public land grazing. Now, our goal is to build a national program that could make this accessible to anyone with a permit if they want to come to the table and collaborate in that manner.